Welcome into the first edition of Raw Takes and Company. It's Andrew Hody with you, bringing back Raw Takes with a new twist. I brought two of my very good friends from Baldwin Wallace University on board. We all went to BW together over in Berea, Ohio. We all met at WBWC, the radio station there. We've covered so many sporting events together, countless over the years. We've also done Sports Pulse, the sports talk show there as well. So many things to discuss based on our memories and whatnot. But I want to introduce Jake Malencic and Matthias Andahar as well on board here on Raw Takes. How you guys doing today?
I am doing well, Andrew. Thank you for including us into this fun adventure. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's going to be, we're already on a hot start technicality wise, or
Yep.
technical wise, but we're going to keep it rolling. Like things have never changed.
Matthias is working on stuff with his camera. We're going to get it all squared away, though. So, everybody, welcome on board to Raw Takes and Company. Just hope you enjoy the show. We got a lot to get to today in the sports world. And I got two guys here that I can tell you know so much about sports, not just from being a fan, but also just from covering the games so long and from what we did back in the past. So, we're ready to go. We're going to start the first edition of Raw Takes and Company. Let's get going, guys. We'll start things off with the National Football League. I think this past week in particular is starting to become like the real telltale signs of what each of these teams are and can be. I think when you look at the primetime games in particular, like they were all really, really good this past week. Like San Francisco and LA had a ton of drama. I think when you look at the game against the Patriots and Bills, that was awesome all around. I'm really starting to have some respect for the Patriots now. I'll say that. And also when you include that Jacksonville Kansas City thriller, that might be the game of the year right there so far with the play of the year. What Trevor Lawrence did at the end of the game to kind of plow his way into the end zone like a defensive lineman. We're going to talk about each of the individual games here in a second, but what do you guys think about what took place over the weekend, just in general, from a general consensus? Because there was a lot of crazy games.
I think we may have possibly had two of the stupidest ways to score a touchdown happen in one weekend. So yeah, we had the Trevor Lawrence essentially sack himself, but then not get touched, go in the end zone and score for the game winner. But then along with that, it was the Tennessee Titan one where Cam Ward throws a pick and then it starts to get run back. The Cardinals player fumbles it. The wide receiver on the Titans pick it up and score, like
I
all
don't know
on the
that I've
same play.
I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that. Like ever.
Yeah, I like this has been National Football League is about entertainment. It's about competition, but man, this was an entertaining week. I will definitely say.
I certainly agree with that. I think from the entertainment factor too, when you think of the NFL this week, just with the sheer amount of games where we really started, I think teams start to feel themselves. Now nobody has a everybody has an L in the column, I should say. There's at least one loss for everybody, so I think we saw every team at least come down to earth at some point and also rise to the occasion. I think Matthias, you made a fair point there about that game that Cam Ward ended up coming back and leading the Tennessee Titans to beat the Arizona Cardinals, and Jonathan Gannon recently getting fined as well. That was insane, honestly. And credit to the Tennessee Titans for getting that win this week because we didn't expect them to do that much anyway. But I'm still a big believer and fan of Cam Ward. So Matthias making some great points there. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think the NFL this year, we're seeing a lot more parity than I think we anticipated. I mean, I watched a lot this week and it's just teams are winning that they're coming back from double digit deficits. Teams are winning that you don't expect to win. I kind of feel like both conferences right now feel wide open. And
Mhm.
it's kind of been a couple of years since we've had that, right? I mean, the Chiefs have run the AFC for the last couple, and it kind of feels like Philadelphia's been, you know, the Niners had their time running the NFC, and then Philly did, and now it's like both of these conferences are wide open, and you see Buffalo losing, and you see Philly losing, and it's like, who knows who's gonna be in the Super Bowl this year? Like this is the first year where I truly feel like we don't have a good idea of who the Super Bowl is going to be in October. And that's
I,
awesome for the sport. And it's going to make for such a fun season for the rest of the year.
I
I
agree
know a couple
100%.
teams who aren't going to make it.
Hey, we don't have to talk about
Um,
that.
Well, we know the Browns aren't going to make it. Let's
We
start
don't
there.
have to talk
We're
about
we're all
that.
based in Cleveland, so but we're
We don't
talking
have to
all
talk
sports
about
here
Okay,
on
that.
this
I was going to say the
podcast.
Jets, but like
Oh yeah, the Jets
No,
too.
now
we're
that we're
fine.
talking about it,
But yeah, we'll get into each of the individual games and our thoughts on each team here in a second. But good point about the Jets there. They're still the only team in the NFL without a win. So, and it's what's incredible to me too about that is the fact that they played the Steelers really, really tough week one, and their offense looked electric. Now, their offense still has some really redeeming qualities, but that defense is probably, I mean, I guess when you have a defensive coach fired like Robert Saleh for another defensive coach coming in, Aaron Glenn, you wouldn't expect as much fall off. But I think that says a lot more about Aaron Glenn than it does Robert Saleh. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right.
It's just
I mean, I
it's
think it.
interesting though with the
Go
Jets
ahead,
because
Jake.
I actually thought they played well too. And you're like, I thought
Yeah,
that was going to be like um that was their game. They're like, all right, we've played well, we're well coached, we're going to come out and do good things. And then it's been worse since then, which is kind of amazing that you build that in game one and then never build on it.
agreed. I would agree with you 100% on that, Jake. It's interesting
Yeah, and the
how
thing
that
is
they
with
did
me,
that.
like
Nice, go.
the thing is with me, like I'm a Justin Fields fan.
Hmm.
It was so good just watching him go. Like he went up against my Steelers. He played phenomenal, double-edged sword, whatever. But I was so ready for that next week, and then just
Oh
like
yeah.
him getting injured, and then just like it's been a rough season overall for Justin Fields and the Jets. But it's like, man, like how can you take this perfect base or almost perfect because you lost, and then not build anything off of it?
Hmm.
Like it's right there. Like
Yeah, it's
I'm
weird.
not a Jets fan, but I'd be frustrated.
I know, and we probably should state our fandoms too. I know Jake and I are pretty big Browns fans overall, but Jake's secondary team is definitely the Indianapolis Colts. Mine is the Miami Dolphins, so it's not like I have much going on
Poor
there.
guy.
And Matthias is a big Steelers fan, so I'm sure he was happy about that Steelers win, but at the same time, when he saw how the Jets played, it was pretty admirable, and they really haven't shown it since. So Matthias makes some great points there. Let's get into every single game this past week. We'll talk about each team individually as well. We'll get back to the Jets, of course, because I have a lot of things to say about the Jets and where they're standing right now. But let's start things off just from a week ago, last Thursday. I actually picked the Rams to win this game, and I was mistaken. San Francisco 26-23 over Los Angeles. There were some memes on the internet of folks all in 49ers gear at SoFi Stadium taking it over. I think that's become a trend. I wonder if the Rams, when they play divisional games at the very least, are starting to feel more like the road team in those games. But nevertheless, Mac Jones, I think he's been playing better than Brock Purdy, guys. I think I'm in a discussion now, or at least a situation now where I look at Kyle Shanahan and how he's kind of been the quarterback guru. He took Jimmy G to the Super Bowl. He's taken Brock Purdy to the Super Bowl and taken Brock Purdy to two NFC championship games as Mr. Irrelevant. And now we see what he's doing with Mac Jones, kind of reviving his career. We didn't get to see what he would do with Trey Lance, but who knows at this point because he was a third overall pick if Kyle Shanahan got to him. But to me, this says a lot more about Kyle Shanahan. It does say some stuff about Mac Jones. We've seen Mac Jones be good under Bill Belichick. So I think just saying Mac Jones was a lost cause in terms of his career after a couple bad years, I don't think that's the case here. To me, this game said a lot about Mac Jones. I think when you look at the 49ers, though, they did lose this game in overtime, but I think they're going to be fine. Matt Stafford had a pretty impressive game. Puka Nacua went off. And I also think Devontae Adams is becoming a pretty reliable wide receiver for Matthew Stafford. And the Rams, to me, I still think are very much in contention for this division. But man, I really like what I'm seeing from the Niners.
And Mac Jones is just going to add on to the list of put your quarterback in a new place and see what happens, and maybe something
Mhm.
clicks for him. And we've seen it with Sam Darnold. We've seen it with Baker Mayfield. We're seeing it with my guy Daniel Jones this year. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just changes scenery, changes everything. But I think it's also sometimes you mentioned Kyle Shanahan. Sometimes it's just the right coach to tap into what you're good at. And you think about Jimmy G, you think about Brock Purdy, you think about Mac Jones. They're very similar quarterbacks. They're similarly built. They're similar in their skill set. They're not very athletic. They're much more pocket pass oriented. But what they're good at is making easy throws to open receivers, and there's nobody better at scheming that than Kyle Shanahan. And that's just, it's the perfect kind of, it's the same thing when Baker went to Tampa and the offense was suited to him. Well, this offense is kind of suited to Mac Jones, and that really helps.
Matthias, your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. To me though, like we could, I feel like there's so many more questions that the Niners have after this game, even though they won. But to me, my main thing is like I want to focus on the Rams and um, especially number 12 for them. Is Puka Nacua the number one receiver in the league? Because he's
He's
been
up
playing
there,
like
yeah.
it. Right now,
Devontae
he has.
Adams had the most yards, but you can make a case that Puka Nacua has definitely been more reliable than Adams this season. I think Adams has been terrific too. The Rams got weapons. To me, it was actually impressive they lost this game. Because I remember watching that game thinking the Rams, when they came back, had it really in their control. And they really let it slide in overtime, in my view.
Yeah, like to me, looking at the stats, like Puka, he's first in receptions, first in yards. He has for numbers, it's 52 receptions and 588 yards. He
Mhm.
only has 2 touchdowns, but like he when the ball's given to, I mean, when the ball's thrown his way, he catches it. He gets amazing yards out of it. He's already projected to have, not that projection says the story, but he's already projected to have a 2,000 yard season. Like he's playing out of his mind, and like it hasn't resulted to all of the wins in the world for the Rams, but like they have something special there.
I would
I mean, if
agree.
they don't blow that game to the Eagles last week, they're 4-1. So like they're good. And they had the Eagles
Yeah.
on the ropes 2 weeks ago.
To me,
So
it's weird.
they're right
Sorry.
there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to me, it's weird because I think when you look at the Los Angeles Rams and the weapons they have, their offense is probably on paper number one in the National Football League in terms of the quarterback, Matthew Stafford. In terms of the weapons you have, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, obviously Cooper Kupp being missing, but Cooper Kupp, new change of scenery in Seattle. But to me, I think when you look at the 49ers in particular, even though their offense has been efficient too, I didn't really touch on their defense. Even with Nick Bosa being down, their defense is still incredible. And I think Robert Saleh being back has been a big reason to why that's the case for San Francisco.
It'll be interesting to see how San Francisco, we talked about building on it earlier with the Jets. We'll see if they can continue to move forward with the win. I think this defense on paper should continue to play at least good football. I don't know about
Yeah.
great or elite football, but I mean, they have the best linebacker maybe that I've ever watched in Fred Warner. So when you have that, you're set for positivity in terms of defensive play. It just depends on how are we going to build off a big win on the road on Thursday night. Don't lose the next week and ruin all of your momentum. And that's what San Francisco's got to do.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts before we move on to the next game?
None here.
All right, let's move on to the Vikings and the Browns. I should
Let's just skip it. I have no words. I'm out of words. I'm
probably.
out.
Oh boy. Oh, what a game this was overall. I'm with Jake on this. If I could skip it, I would. But we got to talk about it. Dylan Gabriel, in my opinion, impressive in his first start for a third round pick. I don't want to, elaborate it too much. Expecting Browns quarterbacks when they make their first start, I think they're like what, 0 for 15 in the last
I think
20,
it's 19 now.
19 now. Okay, yeah, I
Oh,
lost count.
19.
I lost count because I'm used to a new quarterback starting every year. But having said that, the Browns
Get him once.
lose. And I think, honestly, I blame the defense for this loss. I think the offense, yeah, maybe didn't do like, I mean, 17 points is not anything special in an NFL game, but I really do think the offense did enough to win this game, and the defense kind of let the Browns down. But it's hard to really blame the Browns defense when you look at the fact they have to deal with the Browns offense and their woes. I don't know. That to me, people are kind of harping on Stefanski for this a little bit as well, and I don't see why. Because Stefanski to me, I get it. I get a lot of the criticism that Kevin Stefanski's been facing personally. Like he hasn't been terrific the last 2 years, but to me, it's hard because The Browns organizationally are a mess. I don't care what anybody says. They're a mess. I'm not a huge fan of the stadium situation. I've made that vocal numerous times. And we don't have to go down that road right now because that's not what we're talking about. But to me, with Stefanski, I like him a lot. I think he'd be a great head coach elsewhere too, which is part of why I don't necessarily want the Browns to fire him. But at the same time, it just doesn't seem like this situation's getting any better. So you have to look at Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski and say, what's going on here? Because at this point, the Browns probably should have won an additional game. Like if they were 2-3 right now, I don't think people would be
They should be
happy,
three
but
and
they'd
two
be
right now,
happier.
by the
What?
way. They should be 3-2 right now for
Yeah,
being
true. You're right. I'm
our kicker
forgetting
could
about
make a dang
Cincinnati.
field goal. We really would we're in theory should be 3-2.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We should be 3-2 in theory. I get it. I wasn't thinking about the original Cincinnati game at first, but to me, like, I at the point with the organization, I'm sick of like the whole notion of everything going on there anyway right now because it's another quarterback mess, like it usually is with the Cleveland Browns. And not only that, they weren't expected to be good this year. So it's hard for me to like be that upset with Stefanski when already the expectations were very low. I mean, we just extended this guy 2 years ago, and I'm thinking to myself, why did we extend him if we're just going to fire him after a majorly disappointing year last year and now a year that we didn't expect to be good anyway? I don't think that's fair to Stefanski personally.
I think if you regress as a coach two
Mhm.
seasons after your extension, you deserve to get fired. And that's what I'm watching is coach regression. Third down and 11, we're running a shallow cross and a vertical route to run the clock out, and our quarterback's throwing it into the sideline. You're doing a clock run down situation, and you took 12 seconds off the clock. And yeah, your defense probably should have got off the field numerous times on the drive afterwards.
Hmm.
But the fact that you didn't make Minnesota take a single timeout, you
Hmm.
didn't make Minnesota worry about any sort of clock management is frustrating to me. I also think he probably waited too long to pull the trigger on Dylan Gabriel, and now he's behind the eight ball. Because if he would have just done this 3 weeks ago, because here's my take on that. If you were going to start him in week 5, why did you not start him in week 2 or week 3? Because now he's 2 weeks behind the eight ball.
Hmm.
I just don't know what his plan is. And that's my concern. I think he's a fine coach. I really do. And I've been a big Kevin Stefanski defender for as long as he's been here. But
Hmm.
my problem is watching this team not do the fundamental things correctly. You have offensive linemen lining up inelligibly 2 different times for the same penalty. And that number 72 dude is terrible. But
Hmm.
it's not if he's lining up incorrectly, that's bad coaching. And that's just as simple as it is. So he's a fine coach, but he used to be a great coach. And I don't know what changed. And I love Kevin, but I don't know what changed.
I think what
I think
changed is
to
quarterback, but that's me. Matthias, your turn.
I think to me like I I am on the boat of like I am okay. I was okay with him like holding back Shador and Dylan Gabriel because like
Mhm.
yeah, I see the idea of like if you're going to start in week 5, why not week 3? But like week 2 is like just kind of throwing them into the fire. Like they both are late draft picks. Like they didn't have the highest expectation, but we shouldn't be like, oh, we don't have the highest expectation anyways. Let's just throw them into the fire and see what happens.
Mhm.
But it's just like, okay, that's more time learning under, not that Joe Flacco's the GOAT or anything, but like learning under Joe Flacco and the system because this is his second time around or was. Um, and it's like learning more from him, learning more like the coaching staff, how they're going to run it. And like, contrary to belief, people need more than, or these rookies need more than preseason and a week to like to get thrown into a field with grown men. Like they need time to develop. Like people gave up on Josh Allen way too early. Like everyone's expecting a Jalen Daniels, but people need to develop. Jalen Daniels doesn't happen every day.
That's true. No, Jane Daniels is a rare situation, honestly. I think when you look at what Jane Daniels has done, is doesn't happen in the NFL too frequently. I think he might be one of the only guys to ever do it the way he's done it. So that's
That's
the
where
point.
that's where my real frustration stems from, though, is if your
Mhm.
plan is to develop, why did you put a quarterback out there who clearly isn't good enough to play for 4 weeks when your plan was to just play him in like I see what you're saying in the sense of these guys need time to grow and sit on the bench, but the best way to learn how to play quarterback in the NFL is to play quarterback in the NFL. And
Ah,
so
oh, sorry.
he's a couple of weeks behind where
Fair.
where he could be. Look, if he pulled the trigger after the disaster that was the Baltimore game, we're probably only have one win, but it's at least now our third round quarterback has 3 games under his belt heading into Pittsburgh at home next week or in Pittsburgh next week, rather than 1 game under his belt against a great defense, and you're kind of still don't know what he is. But
I, I,
and
sorry.
this is
Mhm.
we're nitpicking at this point because he was going to play eventually. So it's fine. I'm just like, I would have liked to see him 3 weeks ago so that I could have 3 weeks of tape already by the middle of the season to know what I have in this kid. Because Shador's going to play. There's no way he's not going to. So how much tape are you going to get on Gabriel before you go to Shador, and then you don't get enough tape on Shador, and then next year when we're picking number 2 overall, we take another quarterback because we don't have enough on the 2 we have.
And I want to kind of chime in on what you made a point on about Flacco. Starting quarterback that you might have should have with Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders. I think there's 2 reasons for this. One, ticket sales. I think people in Cleveland, week 1 at least, wanted to go to a Browns game to see Joe Flacco come back after everything he did in 2023. So I think that's one reason you start Joe Flacco to start the year, because I think it's going to sell tickets. I think people wanted to see Flacco come back because we were so in love with what he did during a 4-game stretch when it was literally a Jaguars team collapsing that year, the New York Jets who stunk, the Texans without Stroud, and I forgot the other win.
The Bears.
The Bears, yeah. The Bears who were terrible anyway. So to me, like, those were his 4 wins. And like, I get it. You got us
We
to the
almost lost
playoffs.
the Bears game, though.
We did almost
Should have
lose the
lost
Bears
the
game. You're
Bears
not
game.
wrong. I thought that was a
We
trap
really should
game.
have lost.
I thought that was a trap game back in 23. But yeah, you know what I mean? That stretch of games. And obviously, I get it. He took the Browns to the playoffs. Doesn't happen very frequently here. But having said that, yeah, I think people who were in love with Joe Flacco, the people who said that Joe Flacco should have been the starter in 2024, I think we're also proven wrong once they saw how he played against Baltimore. Now, forget about Cincinnati. He played okay against the Bengals. Against Baltimore, when you saw how immobile he was, that's when you should have benched him. I think, Jake, you make a great point there. That's when you put Gabriel in week 3 against Green Bay. Granted, we beat Green Bay with Joe Flacco. I think Green Bay gave us that game more. And the other thing I
I just think
think,
he's cooked. I really do. I feel bad for
yeah,
the Bengals because I think he's cooked. I think it's finally over for him. And it
Yeah,
sucks because
he's
I really like him, but I think
yeah,
he's
I
cooked.
get it. But at the same time, did you see Jake Browning the last 3 weeks?
No,
I
That's
did.
what's cooked. It's
look,
him.
they had to do something. I'm not
Something's
saying
got to
that the
be done.
Bengals.
Have you seen the Bengals line this season?
It's terrible. No, I get that. But also the thing is
What's
too.
going on down there is a
Mhm.
disaster. And I feel
It is.
bad for Joe too because he's walking into a disaster. But I'm just telling, like, I think he's cooked and
Mhm.
their offensive line is cooked. And that's going to be Jameis Winston is sitting in New York doing nothing. And you traded for Joe Flacco.
He's
I get
having
that.
some
True.
pretty
That's
hype
a good
speeches on
point.
the bench right now. I'll say that.
Jameis Winston
You-
might be the backup though for Jackson Dart, because do you really want to
Trade
put
for
Russell
Russell
Wilson
Wilson. They
back in
got two
there?
guys.
But do you want to put Russell Wilson back out there? I'd rather take my chances with Jameis Winston at this point.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think New York keeping Jameis might be the smart thing
No,
right
you're
now.
because they're gonna play Dart the whole year. They're fine.
I know,
I'm
as
just
long as Dart's
mine
healthy. As
not to
long as
go on a
Dart's
tangent.
healthy.
Well,
You
right,
gotta
I
but
stay
would like a
healthy.
rule
Burrow and
if just
Lamar are
Jameis
down right now.
Winston
Like,
was. I would
go
like
on,
a rule
guys.
if Jameis Winston was just the backup for whichever team. Like once the starting QB goes down, they just airmail Jameis Winston.
That's
he
what
Like
he
should
does.
he
Yeah.
should play for 32 teams by the end of his career because a quarterback just gets hurt and you just like you said, just drop him in. Just here you go.
Come on, Jameis. Do what Ryan Fitzpatrick couldn't do. Play for all
Band-Aid.
teams.
Boom. Right there. James
Yep.
Winston.
But back to the Joe Flacco trade for a second. The other thing I wanted to mention about the trade is it's an in-division trade. You don't see that too much.
No.
And I think the
It's
Browns
an
actually
in-state trade.
were smart to do it. I think they were smart to do it because now they have a higher draft pick from Cincinnati, and that could help them down the line if it ends up being a decent football player. Cincinnati really gave up nothing to get Joe Flacco. They got Joe Flacco because they don't have Joe Burrow. So to me, right now, too, when you look at the AFC North, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, you should win this division easily. I don't want to hear any excuses from the Steelers. But also, it's kind of wide open because the Steelers' defense isn't very good. The best defense in the division right now is the Cleveland Browns. To me, this division might be wide open. You have a 2-3 Bengals team whose offense looks terrible with no offensive line. Who knows what Flacco's going to do? As long as Lamar Jackson's out, I'm counting out the Ravens. They were awful this week. We'll talk about them in a little bit. And the Browns, they've shown nothing but ineptitude. But the Steelers have Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin, a Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Okay.
They got to win this division this year.
It's my bye week. I'm not getting on my soapbox about this team.
Well, we're gonna get to your team.
Okay, Andrew and I did enough soapboxing for you. You can soapbox next week for the Steelers.
Yeah, once we get to the next week's slate of games, you'll definitely have a lot to say because they're playing the Browns this week. We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, let's move on here to the Sunday slate of games. Obviously, that game was in London. And also, I'll just chime in. It's a discussion for another podcast, but I am not for these international games. Too many of them. We'll talk about that on another podcast.
That's crazy.
Wow. I'll explain that on another podcast.
That's fine. I'm just telling you. I think I love not. If it's not your team, the 9:30 game is great. I'll leave it at that. We can argue about it later.
Let's move on. I know we talked a lot about the Jets already. The Dallas Cowboys 37-22. They're 2-2-1. The Jets are 0-5. I almost said 1-5. The Jets offense to me in this game, I watched the highlights of it. At the end, they kind of came back. As I said, I really think the Jets defense just stinks. But, this is the thing with me about the Jets, and I kind of harped on it a little bit earlier, but I didn't really explain it. Aaron Glenn's defense last year for the Detroit Lions wasn't very good. I don't know why he deserved this job. That's me. I like Aaron Glenn's hype. I like what he brings to the table, but I don't know if Aaron Glenn can, and I get it, he's not coordinating a defense anymore, he's a head coach. But he got this job because of how he was a defensive coordinator in Detroit. And I'm rooting for him. I hope he does a great job with the New York Jets and turns them around. But I really think Aaron Glenn might be the biggest problem the New York Jets have right now. Offensively, though, they've been more impressive than I think people have seen, and it's just because they stink on defense and they've lost all 5 games.
What are your problems? The turf.
Their worst unit is their special teams because it's one of the worst special teams. Their
special teams are bad too.
Every single week, it's something brand new that you've never seen before. I mean, the first week they should beat the Steelers. That dude dropped a punt return.
Mm-hmm. And it was the field goal unit that ended up winning the game for Pittsburgh too.
I don't think the Jets have been good in any form, but at least Justin Fields is due for one cool run every game. The special teams is just, and look, I'm not going to judge a coach in year one of a team with that much talent because they don't have that much, but they are kind of punchless, which is not great. But I'm going to give Aaron Glenn a little bit of time to get his guys in there. I don't let him handpick some defensive players in the draft and really see where this can go. I mean, they're going to be picking in the top 3. So let's go get that Bain kid from Miami and figure it out.
I don't disagree. I should emphasize too, to my point as well, that the Jets, the Aaron Glenn deserves some time, even though I think the defense in Detroit wasn't great and he probably shouldn't have been hired by the Jets. But I think Aaron Glenn deserves some time. I'm not going to argue you there. So I want to emphasize that. I'm not rooting against Aaron Glenn, and I don't think he was a bad hire right off the rip. I'm just saying I just think his hire is kind of controversial based on how Detroit's defense looked. Matthias, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I think on why Aaron Glenn, I'm not the front office or anything, but I feel like Aaron Glenn got hired because their defense, if anything, showed heart just over and over again. But the thing about it is that was, I think the Jets organization is learning that was more of a Dan Campbell thing. And that was just complemented by Aaron Glenn because we all know this. The Lions will, I don't think there's a single player on the lines that wouldn't run through a wall for Dan Campbell.
Yeah,
I don't think
right.
there's a fan that wouldn't run through a wall for Dan Campbell. But like seeing that defense, seeing how active they were, like even though they would give up big plays, they would still fight for every inch. And like the Jets took a shot at it, maybe check their Madden rating, and just went, okay, we could use this as a head coach. And it hasn't been the most compelling or the most work, but it's something that they're going somewhere. We just don't know where.
I think Matthias is absolutely right on that too. We don't know where they're going, and I think where they're showing they're going is top pick of the draft. Let's move on to the next game here. To be honest with you, we could probably just skip this game, but we'll give quick thoughts here. Saints Giants. Saints won their first game of the year. Nothing excites me about either one of these teams outside of Jackson Dart. What do you guys think? And
Cam
Scatterbo.
Scatabo.
Scatterbo's good too. Yeah, Scatterbo's good. I want to emphasize that. And I do like the Giants defense. Abdul Carter needs time though. So what are your thoughts?
Spencer Rattler has a cool deep ball. Nice deep ball to Rashid Shaheed. That was fun. I enjoyed watching that. But yeah, no, the Saints suck. And the Giants kind of suck too, but at least they suck with
Giants did beat the Chargers last week. I'll say that.
That was
saw that coming.
If my starting quarterback posted Madison Beer on his story to intimidate Justin Herbert, we would have won too. All right. It's just how that goes.
All right, Matthias, your thoughts on the Giants and Saints?
Not much. I'm glad. I'm glad to watch Cam Scatabo. I think he's going to have a very short but very storied career. I'm not preying on his downfall. I hope that he has the longest career of all time. But like, man, he plays reckless. I love it, but I'm really concerned.
With the way that man runs, he's looking at concussion in 5 years and it's over. Unfortunately, I agree.
Because he's electric. He's fun to watch. I like watching him.
Yes, I agree.
Despite the Giants being terrible. All right, another game.
Imagine him with Dan Campbell. I'll stop though.
Ooh, don't give Dan ideas.
All right, Indianapolis Colts and Las Vegas Raiders. I'm sure we're going to have to leave the floor here to Jake to talk a little bit about Indiana Jones. He had a good game, decent game overall. Geno Smith threw more yards, but I honestly think, this whole Geno Smith, Pete Carroll thing, it worked in Seattle. It's not working with the Raiders. They don't have a great roster outside of anybody anyway. So to me, I just think the Raiders are doomed to be bad anyway. But the Colts, props to them. They're 4-1. I still think they're fraudulent, but we can talk about that differently. The Colts are 4-1, though. They currently have the AFC's #1 seed. I'll concede the floor.
Yeah, I mean, this game was more Geno Smith is not very good than it was the Colts. I mean, the Colts played really well. Jonathan Taylor had a bunch of rushing yards, a bunch of touchdowns. I mean, he actually didn't have that many yards. He only had 66, but it felt like he had about 150 because he had the 3 touchdowns. And it kind of just felt like every time Jonathan Taylor got the football, the Raiders knew he was going to score a touchdown, especially when they got to the red zone. Mm-hmm. And I think that was kind of the story of the game. Like, it kind of just felt like Las Vegas had no life. It kind of felt like Las Vegas they just had no fight for the whole game. Danny Dimes continues to play efficient, which is great. If you're a Colts fan, you love the fact that he's not doing the Danny Dimes things that he did in New York. There's no turnovers. There's no boneheaded mistakes. There's none of the stuff there's no running and falling when you're 20 yards away from the end zone like he did. It's just, he's playing clean football. And that's, I think, as a Colts fan, like your biggest positivity. I love Tyler Warren. I'm really glad he's a Colt and not playing for somebody else. And I hope they can hold on, because this looks like a team that's good. It doesn't look like they're just fool's gold anymore. I mean, when you win, you can't be bad if you win 40-6. It just doesn't exist.
I agree. You can't be bad if you win 40-6, but I still think that there's going to be a downfall with the Colts at some point. Matthias,
I don't think they're certainly not perfect. I don't think their defense is as good as they're playing. And I'm just waiting on regression from Jones, because it's just, which I guess we could have said the same thing about Sam Darnold, and we could have said the same thing about Baker Mayfield and all these resurgent quarterbacks. But I'm just, is Daniel Jones just going to keep doing this? Or is he gonna have that 3 interception game against the Jaguars to lose the division? And we're like, oh yeah, that's Danny Dimes. That's the one I remember.
I guess we'll have to find out.
I hope that's not it, but I just have that feeling like seen it too many times with him.
All right, Matthias, your thoughts.
I think that, like, to my point with, like, I'm going to keep it short, but, like, to my point with, like, Dylan Gabriel and Shador, like, Daniel Jones is kind of like the living embodiment of it, of just like people wrote off on him and they were like, what the, like, what the heck is he going to do? We know, like, he has some very special plays, both good and bad.
Mhm.
Like, Daniel Jones would make a top 10 for highlights and lowlights in the same game.
Mhm.
And like now it's just he's playing phenomenally and he has a complementary offense. And I think with that, we got to start, not that we have to. I'm a Steelers fan. I'm okay with the Giants being bad, but like we got to start looking at the Giants, like offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and be like, what's going on? Because it took this guy a year or less than a year, and he looks like the player that we wanted to draft.
And
Absolutely.
there was positivity was it when he was in New York. And then they brought Daboll in to like fix him and it went the wrong direction. So I think that's a good point, Matthias. Like if you're the Giants, are you looking in the mirror right now? Like, how did we mess this up? Because we certainly didn't give him the offense that the Colts have. We certainly didn't give him Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Tyler Warren. I mean, they gave him Malik Neighbors, but like for 1 year. So I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, if you're looking yourself in the mirror as the Giants right now, you're like, man, how did we botch that so badly? And how do we not botch that with our young quarterback that we have now?
All righty, let's move on to the Miami Dolphins at Carolina Panthers. The Dolphins were up 17 to nothing. Carolina came back, won the game. I think Bryce Young needed to kind of prove himself in another game because we've seen nothing but inconsistency from them. But in my opinion, Mike McDaniel, I think he's the coach on the hottest seat. And I am still waiting for the Dolphins to finally say Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer are done. They haven't said it yet, but I think they both need to be fired. The Dolphins are a disaster. Props to Bryce Young and the Panthers for getting the win, though. They still got a long way to go. I don't trust them yet.
Another short one from me. Congrats to Mike McDaniel, to whoever he's going to be the offensive coordinator for next year.
I would agree with that. He's going to be a great coordinator somewhere else,
100%.
but he's not a head coach.
All I have to say is sometimes I look up and Bryce Young makes the greatest throw I've ever seen. And so I know it's in there. And I really just want for him the touchdown he threw to Xavier Legette was one of the best throws I saw the whole week from any quarterback. And so if he does that every week, they'll be fine. And I just want to see him do it because I do like Bryce. And I
Mhm.
don't want that to be I don't want him to be the failure that people thought he was going to be. I'd love the comeback story.
This game was kind of an interesting one. Broncos Eagles 21-17 Denver. I've been a believer that Denver is not going to be for real. I think I'm starting to change my philosophy on that. Even though they made the playoffs last year, I just am not so sure with Kansas City and Los Angeles in the division how the Broncos were going to be able to compete with it. I think I'm starting to change my tune based on what we're seeing. A big win for the Broncos over the Eagles, 21-17. Not surprised that the Eagles lost this game because they were going to lose at some point. So I still think the Commanders might actually end up winning the NFC East at this rate, too. But your guys' thoughts on that one?
I don't have much other than I think the, I mean, this is going to sound obvious. The Broncos are going to go as Bo Nix goes, and this was
Yeah.
probably Bo's best game of the season. Um, I think you're a little worried that he's been figured out by the NFL because he's not been the same Bo Nix that he was last year.
Mhm.
But if you're going to get good Bo Nix performances, then this team's going to be fine. Their defense is disgusting. Like they're Sertan, Benito. There's so much talent that if they can just get 70% of what Bo Nix showed last year, I think they're going to be fine.
Mhm.
But yeah, the Broncos we saw in the first couple weeks are not the Broncos that I remember from last year. That's definitely for certain.
All right, Matthias, your thoughts.
So to me, I keeping it I would not be surprised if we look like a couple months in advance and we see the AFC Championship have the Broncos and Colts in them. Like
It's
both
a
of these
win-win,
teams.
baby. Peyton Manning Bowl.
I was going to say if you're a Peyton Manning fan, you're having the time of your life. But like I would not be surprised, like just like Jake, what you said, like this is a season of parity, and these teams have found consistency within that. And the Eagles, both of the Eagles, and we'll talk about the Bills later, like they have had better, they obviously they had a better record, but like they were undefeated, but like they were all rocky. Like Eagles couldn't play for a full game and they were just playing with fire, and this time it finally burned them.
I
I'm
agree.
kind of out on the
Yeah.
Eagles. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not in on the Eagles as much either.
I'm kind of
But
out.
I think the Commanders are going to win the division because if you look historically at the NFC East, since
That's true too.
2010 or
Yep.
11, I think it's been that
A
there's not
long
been a
time.
repeat division winner. So that's why I like the Commanders. I don't believe in the Cowboys, even though Dax looked great. The Cowboys defense stinks. And I don't believe in the New York Giants at all. So that's why I'm picking the Commanders. But to me, yeah, I think that's a fair point. The Eagles will still be contending for a wild card spot, and I think they're going to make things interesting, though. I will say
There,
that.
I don't. And this was the issue last year with
Mhm.
them is their passing game is you cannot trust it. They just happen to have a running back run for 2,000 yards. That's
Mhm.
not happening this year. And I'm kind of like, if they don't get this passing situation figured out soon, I
Mhm.
mean, we got wide receivers calling out their quarterback in week 5.
Yeah.
That's Browns level bad stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Browns level bad if you're the defending Super Bowl champions.
But
Just
like
let it play out. I think the Eagles will be fine
we had
overall.
Odell's dad coming in. I mean, we had Odell's dad calling out our quarterback, and now you've got the two wide receivers calling out Jalen Hurts saying they're not getting the ball enough, and they're right. And it's week 5. So yeah, I know they're the defending Super Bowl champions, but that goes away really quick if things start to go bad. And that to me is sign number 1 of things going the wrong direction.
I think they're going to coast into the playoffs, and right when they make it to the playoffs, they're either going to be the mid 2010s Cowboys and underperform, or they're going to be like the Chiefs 2 years ago and win for some reason.
That's
Like
They
there's
could they could just be the we're going to coast in the regular season and we don't care team like the Chiefs are,
yeah.
which wouldn't surprise me. Like that's a good but like man,
well,
there's
they're
some
the coast for the team. The Eagles are
their
four and
quarterback also
one.
isn't Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
that too. Yeah, but the
when
Eagles are 4-1 and the Chiefs are 2-3. So you got to
when
win
it's
games at some point, right?
yeah,
The
like when
Eagles are
it's
winning the
coasting, it's
games.
supposed to
The
be
Chiefs
smooth
aren't.
sailing. This is not smooth or sailing. Like
no, it's
they're
They're still
struggling.
4-1 on the year, though. I will say that they did win four games. So yeah, I don't disagree that they've been struggling lately, but I think they got to play it out. As I said, though, I still think the Commanders end up winning the division in the long run. I agree with a lot of what you guys said. Let's move on to the Houston Texans Baltimore Ravens game. This wasn't really a game. It was 44-10 Houston. The Texans are starting to ascend. I think it's not fair to count them out. Again, I think at 2-3, they can figure things out. I still like D'Amico Ryans. I like CJ Stroud. And obviously, the Texans have all the weapons. Nick Chubb had a touchdown. He's still not the Nick Chubb of old. He's 11 carries, 61 yards. So is what it is. Christian Kirk had a nice game as well. But the Ravens, to me, Derrick Henry is also kind of a mess right now. Without Lamar Jackson, that offense looked terrible. There's talks that John Harbaugh's on the hot seat, and with some of the games they've had this year, I think that's kind of justified, even though he's a Super Bowl champion, has been there since 2008. I'm not saying he should be fired right now or anything, but like to me, the Baltimore Ravens, something about them, this is really going south. They're 1-4. I don't know. This is kind of a mess in Baltimore, and we don't see this too frequently from them.
I have a good friend who's a Ravens fan, and I can tell you that it is not pretty. It's
I
not
believe it.
pretty for the fans. It's not pretty for the team. And I think they're very much out on what's going on. I think we talked about coach regression with Stefanski. I think coach regression with Harbaugh is he might be to the point where I don't know. I don't know what else is going to change in Baltimore, but it's not good. I mean, their special teams isn't playing well, their defense isn't playing well, and their offense is the only thing that they have, and that's because they have a superhuman playing quarterback.
And think
And
about
that,
this, the Browns defense is literally the best defense in the AFC North. That's really where we're at right now.
yeah, and
They're not
like,
going to win the division.
look, I don't like being the person who's we're doing a podcast, but Marlon Humphrey, after the worst loss of the season, just going on a podcast and pretending like nothing is wrong is not the vibes that I would want to have if I was the 1-4 Ravens and I was a 1-4 Ravens fan. Because that to me sucks.
Mhm.
Figure it out. And you're not really figuring it out. You're making
Yeah.
bad decisions. You're making mistakes that the Ravens don't make. And you're staring down 1-5. And that's, I mean, you're already 1-4.
Mhm.
You're staring down the worst season you've had in 10 years.
John Harbaugh's only had 2 losing seasons, 2015 and 2021. So a losing season, third losing season for him in his career is still impressive. I don't know if he really should be on the hot seat based on his resume and because he's without Lamar Jackson right now. But that first game against the Buffalo Bills, I think, is the biggest telltale sign of the Baltimore Ravens season because they should have won that game.
When they
Be in a
punted, the
lot
game
better
was over.
position. Yeah, they did. They gave that game to Buffalo. That's for
And
sure.
that's the coaching part of it. Don't punt.
You have
If
Lamar
you go
Jackson
for
as
it
your
and don't get
quarterback,
it,
you can
you're in a
trust your offense. And I
go ahead,
don't
Matthias.
disagree. Matthias' turn.
Yeah, it's just I love your point of just like they lost because they punted.
Mhm.
When what if they didn't? But then like on top
Maybe
of
they
that,
get
just
it.
like I think
Kind of right.
like I'm kind of on the opposite of this. Like I'm like yes, I am still well, I'm not worried. I'm a Steelers fan, but I am worried about the Ravens. Like this I think this is panic mode. It's like this week if they win or like this is panic mode because
Yeah, they
Lamar
play the Rams
Jackson
this week. That's not going to be easy.
yeah, like Lamar Jackson is showing by not playing how much this offense has revolved around him and how much
Mhm.
he has had to carry the Ravens through like bad coach decisions. And like we see that when it comes playoff time when he can't do that when schemes have so much amount of time to be like okay, we are stopping Lamar Jackson. And like that's when the Ravens start falling apart in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Because like they're scheming for him so he can't do his superhuman things. So like I think Harbaugh should be on the hot seat like yesterday. Like we've seen this over and over again, but this time we don't have Lamar Jackson like stumbling around and then throwing a ball for 60 yards for a touchdown. Like they're missing that and now they're 1-4 instead of probably 4-1.
Yeah, that's for sure. I wouldn't disagree with that point. And I think when you look at what the Ravens have done this season and what they've done in the past, this is the NFL, not for long. What have you done for me lately, league? Questions about Harbaugh, I think, are justified, but I'm still not going to say he should be fired yet because of the resume he provides. Let's move on. I know we talked about the Titans and Cardinals a little bit earlier, so we're going to move on to the Bucks and Seahawks because I think if you're a Browns fan, you watch this game and
You're
you're
sad.
just like, wow. Like Baker
You're sad.
Mayfield has had 4 clutch wins this year. They're 4-1. The Buccaneers, to me, who's the threat in the South? The Panthers, maybe? The Panthers got a lot more wins. They got to start to stream along here. I mean, if I'm the Bucks, I'm feeling really good right now. Vita Vea even made a great play. Uh, I mean, it was one heck of a game for Tampa Bay. And you look, they could run the ball too. White was the rushing leader. I still like Bucky Irving as well. They have a great offense overall. Ibuka as well in receiving yards this week. Ohio State got to give it to them.
OH.
OHIO indeed. And you know what? Seattle might have lost this game, but to me, Sam Darnold still proved a lot. 4 touchdowns. That turnover probably cost the Seahawks at the end of it all. But I mean, these are two guys that have really shown that they really went to bad organizations and watching this game on Sunday, 38-35. To me, like I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be in the NFC Championship game if they keep playing like this. Honestly, they look that good and they're clutch. I think the
Sometimes you
Seahawks
just
might fall off at some point too. I should say.
sometimes you just have magic.
Hmm.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
I mean, and as stupid as that sounds, that sometimes, I mean, we see that in baseball more than football usually, but sometimes you just get hot at the
Yeah.
right time. And now I know it's early, but this Buccaneers team feels like one of those teams that does have that magic. They are clutch and they are under the mindset of we're never out of the game.
Hmm.
Like we are always, no matter what, Baker's going to get us off the mat. And it's a good feeling to have when you're the defense. It's a good feeling to have when you're the like, especially good at the defense. It's good to have as an offense too. But when you're the defense and you think you can go out there and say, okay, well, if we don't get a stop here, that's fine because Bake's just going to go get us another 6. So we're good. It's just a great. Todd Bowles is a hell of a coach, man. I don't think he gets the
Yeah,
credit
he
he
was with the
deserves at
Jets
He
all.
sure
too.
is.
He was with the Jets
He's
too. I mean, and I think he's done a terrific job when you look at. He had a losing record with Tom Brady, and then once he got Baker Mayfield, he hasn't had a losing record since. Just think about that.
he's a
He
hell of a
managed to be
coach,
on the
man.
hot seat with Tom Brady, but took Baker Mayfield and has made the playoffs every year. He's learned the clock management situation, and that is a clutch football team that's disciplined. Well, Coach, I could talk forever about how much I love watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and maybe it's because Baker Mayfield's there and he's so fun to root for. Matthias, what do you make of this game? And you know what? We shouldn't take away from what we saw from Seattle, too, as I said, but
No,
I feel
definitely
like
not.
Seattle will fall off. Tampa Bay feels real.
I sometimes I really question my choices as a fan because my top two teams are Steelers number 1 and Seahawks number 2,
Oh,
and I
boy.
just always subject myself to a heart attack just every week. And this game is no different. Just like 38-35 in today's, like, they put up numbers. Like Sam Darnold looked fantastic. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he looked like the number 1 receiver. And I could say the same thing about Emeka Egbuka. Both of them had 100+ yards for a touchdown. Emeka had 7 receptions while JSN had 8. And like they just both look phenomenal. Both of these offenses were just, both of these teams feel like they just play with such a chip on their shoulder. And this game was just who has the bigger chip, in which I think this season you can't say anyone is more petty than Baker Mayfield. The way that like he talks, the way that he's walking in these games, his attitude, he's like, none of you believed in me except for this team after I had one game chance with the Rams, and I'm going to prove you all wrong. This is his like Geno Smith season of they didn't write I mean, they wrote me off, I didn't write back. This is that season for Baker, and I think he's turning a corner where Geno is stuck as a Raider, but Baker might turn the corner, and like he might be like this for the rest of his career.
It could be. If you look at the rest of the NFC South, it's nothing to sneeze at. The team that looks like they have the best future right now is what? Carolina? Maybe Atlanta? I haven't seen anything that shows the Falcons are really that worthy yet. So to me right now, just based on his division, he's got a very, very bright future ahead.
I mean,
We also
Tyler
have
Algier is a fantasy monster for the
Yeah,
Falcons.
true, true. I'm not taking out the Falcons. I'm just saying that I haven't seen anything that makes me believe in them yet, and they already lost to the Buccaneers once this season, so I'm not sneezing that Atlanta Falcons are going to be legit this year. I just haven't seen it yet. The Detroit Lions and Cincinnati Bengals. I think this one was pretty much already over right when kickoff happened. Like I think everybody knew going into this game the Detroit Lions were going to destroy the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. I think everybody knew it. It's the
yeah,
best offense in the NFL, I think.
final score was closer than the game. It was
Mhm.
13-point deficit in the final score. Lions still covered despite
Mhm.
that, but yeah, Browning threw a couple, just chucked a couple balls up to Jamar Chase, which
Mhm.
took him 4 quarters to figure out that that's a good strategy. And then it eventually, I mean, it worked, but it was probably too little too late. What the Cincinnati Bengals did to acquire Joe Flacco tells you everything that you need to know about Jake Browning and what they thought the state of their team was. I don't have a lot to say about this game. I think the Lions are fully back. They're fully back to being a well-oiled machine. They might have the best running back wide receiver combo in the NFL with
Well, when you have
Amon-Ra
Jameer
St.
Gibbs
Brown
and
and Jameer
Amon-Ra
Gibbs.
St. Brown, yeah.
I don't know
pretty
that
good.
that's beatable. And you've got a quarterback who's the perfect point guard to just give those two the football all day long, and it's going to work. And their defense is fine.
It's a lot better than it was last year.
It's still your biggest concern, but
I agree. Yeah, their defense isn't great.
the Lions are back. That's really all I got.
I think
Bengals
Dan Campbell, he lost both his coordinators, and they're still 4-1 right now. And their one
Doesn't
loss is
need
to Green Bay.
coordinators. Dan Campbell could coach the whole team by himself. Fully confident. Doesn't need coordinators.
Probably doesn't. You're probably right.
It doesn't seem like it.
Matthias, what are your thoughts?
I think the Bengals should tank.
I agree.
I think every game from here on out should be a tank bowl of them versus the world. And because next year you need to prove to Joe that you're trying. And I'm never going to say that they should have taken Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase. Like Jamar Chase proved or has proven so far why he was the right pick. But they need an offensive line. By the
way, Detroit has Penei Sewell. So
yeah.
Was that like a revenge game for not drafting him? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, his revenge not allowing a sack. But yeah, this team needs to prove to Joe Burrow that they're trying. Joe Burrow doesn't need to prove to Cincinnati anything.
I think they need to prove it to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase too, because honestly, those three guys are the whole roster. And Trey Hendrickson.
They don't.
Yeah.
They have one defensive player.
Trey Hendrickson. That's it.
And that's it.
They're not great.
And they have maybe one offensive lineman.
I don't even think they have that.
Maybe.
I don't think they have that.
I think they're literally playing 7-on-7 against everybody in the NFL. And speaking of a team that I think does have a great offensive
7-on-7 with one defensive player. So it's really 11-on-1 on the other side of the ball.
Fair enough. I wouldn't disagree there. It's pretty much where they're at anyway.
Yeah.
The Commanders and Chargers, 27-10. To me, the Chargers started off hot. I don't really have too much to say about this game, though, because honestly, I felt like either team could have won. I think we're starting to see the Chargers kind of come back down to earth, though, a little bit. But I still think the Chargers might end up winning the West based on how the rest of the West looks right now.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's the Chargers' fault. They've just gotten injured like one player every week.
Yeah, Joe Alt was big for the line, too.
Yeah, they don't have a choice. Like they're literally like losing players left and right. I feel like if they were still healthy, they would still be on the upswing that we saw earlier this year.
Any thoughts on your end, Jake?
Yeah, he kind of hit the nail on the head. Can't lose Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater and expect that you're going to win games. Quentin Johnson breakout year, though. I'm here for it.
All righty. All right, 2 primetime games here, and then we're going to get to our picks for next week. I loved both of these primetime games, by the way. I watched them from start to finish. In particular, though, even though I thought the Jags-Chiefs game was the better of the two, Mike Vrabel, Drake May, there's something about the New England Patriots that's lovable now. I never had anything against
the Brady Belichick
dynasty, but to me, the Patriots now, the edge that Mike Vrabel brings, there's something that's they got a chip on their shoulder kind of feel. I don't know what it is. Stephon Diggs in that game had a chip on his shoulder. I'm not even a big Stephon Diggs fan. Something about the Patriots, though, is fun right now. I don't know what it is, but they were fun, and they showed it in prime time. I think Buffalo will be fine. They lost this game. They'll go beat the Patriots in New England. I don't think that's going to be a worry for the Buffalo Bills. The Patriots, though, they make things interesting. They're 3-2 right now. They could very well fight for a wild card team. I like the Patriots. I'll say that. They have shown me that they got a chip on their shoulder, and I think they have the right guy at head coach to kind of get that out.
Yeah, and you mentioned them being fun. It's fun when you have a young quarterback and he's playing well. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing other than winning. There's nothing more fun in the NFL than having your future quarterback play well. We saw that in the early years with Bake when he was playing his best here in Cleveland, having a young quarterback that you believe in, that you think is going to be the future of your franchise, and he starts to find it and play well and make the big throw when you need the big throw. And as a neutral fan watching that, you're like, wow, they got the guy. And that's what's so fun about watching this team is you're kind of starting to feel like they maybe finally have replaced Tom Brady. Maybe. He's not going to beat Tom Brady, but they've at least got a quarterback who can play now.
Drake May has shown he can play. I still think you got to have a bigger sample size. Matthias, what are your thoughts?
For sure. But when you play well as a young quarterback, it's fun to. I think that's what's so fun about them is you're like, oh man, have they done it? Did they finally do it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start with the Bills.
Okay.
I think if you're a Bills fan, you should be worried.
Really? I'm not
because
worried.
They have their wins are Baltimore, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Saints.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Like their wins
I
are.
wouldn't have put that together either. That's a good call out.
But it's the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. We should.
That doesn't matter.
Okay, it's the Ravens,
Ravens defense. Yeah,
Lamar Jackson versus the world, and then he loses because of coach. We have the Jets, who are the Jets. We have Miami with Tua. His head injuries are unfortunately doing things.
I think it's more Mike McDaniel there.
The Dolphins suck.
They do. Yeah. No, they do.
and then the Saints. And like most of those games, even though they put up at least 30 in all of the games except for this loss, they've all been close. And then they blow it out when the game is like they blow it out in garbage time. Like these games were much closer going down to the wire. But then once the Bills were like, oh, okay, we're winning this game, they start like running up the score. And then like New England, they're like, hey, they found out something. They found out something on that defensive side to stop Josh Allen, which I think no team has had an answer yet. But they did it, and now it's like, now what? Because they can't, like you said, they can just bounce back, move on, whatever. Or the rest of the teams are looking at that film like, wait a minute, what did they do, and how can we replicate that?
That's a good point. They did hold them down to only 20 points, and if you're the Buffalo Bills, you probably expect to score a lot more than that. I didn't think about their schedule. I didn't realize that it was that easy when you look at hindsight. Because I go back to that Baltimore game, and I still think, well, it was with Lamar Jackson. But you're right. The Ravens are nothing to sneeze at right now. So the Bills did have kind of 4 bye weeks to start the year, and New England was kind of their first real test. I still think the Bills, though, in the long run, there should be no concerns there. They have a great defense. They have the best weapons, I think, in that division by themselves. So New England's kind of just young and scrappy and happy to be here. So I think New England eventually is going to come down to earth at some point. I think they're going to be good, but they're not going to be great. So that's my thoughts on that. But Matthias made a good point. The schedule is something I didn't realize. So that's something I think that Matthias said there that I don't know how many people may have thought of the schedule, but they did play 4 easy opponents to start the season in hindsight.
And looking on the other side of it,
go ahead, Matthias.
My bad, I'll get to. But like looking on the other side of it for the Patriots, I remember like I was at work while the game was going on, and then right when the game ended, I just saw like post after post of like, close enough. Welcome back, Tom Brady. Like people were just so hyped about like how Drake May played, and like he played well last year. He got banged up for it, but he played well last year. But like New England people are excited because they're like, oh my gosh, we stopped winning for like 5-6 years. We could finally turn the corner again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think Matthias is spot on. Honestly, probably the best analysis of the night of any football team. I did not. Whoa. You really pointed out the Buffalo Bills schedule, and I think that's probably real worthy. First reel of the show. Would you say that, Jake? I think we can do that. Matthias' take on the Bills, I would 100% say that was spot on. That was spot on, man.
Do we need to talk about Buffalo's wide receiver room?
Do we? Like,
Khalil
there's not
Shakir is your number one receiver in
like there's not much to
2025?
talk about.
That's my point here. Eventually, you need a number one receiver. And I know it's Josh
Stephon
Allen,
Diggs
and I
even,
know
yeah.
that historically we've seen teams win with, but like this is
I still think who are the other weapons in the AFC East though right now?
I mean, but
but
if you're Buffalo, you're not looking at the AFC East.
that's what I'm saying. You're
Yeah.
looking at if you're going into
Looking
a
at a
playoff
Super Bowl,
with
yeah.
Khalil Shakir as wide receiver one. And I like Khalil Shakir, but
Mhm.
I'd love him a lot more if he had somebody else next to him to
If I was
close
Bills,
for
maybe
him.
make a call to the Cleveland Browns and ask about Jerry Judy.
They
Just
can
He
have,
has
make
I
it,
don't think that's going to help.
but
he has
it would
Dalton
help Jerry Judy
Kincaid.
to be part of a winning team finally, because I kind of feel bad for him now.
I just feel like people also don't talk about the fact that they went into this season willingly with Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir and said, we'll be fine. We'll figure it out. And I don't know that that's the case.
It's odd because like they're spreading the wealth. Like if you look at the top 4 receivers, their receiving yards are Dalton Kincaid with 287,
Mhm.
Khalil with 235, Keon Coleman with 226, and then Joshua Palmer with 174. And Joshua Palmer's the only one that doesn't have any touchdowns. The rest have 3, 2, and 2.
Puka
So they're
Nacua
just like,
has 532.
yeah, they're just doing it by committee, which is great when you have a player alongside that could work with it. But or like when you have like that star to work around with it, like, but they
Mhm.
kind of don't. It's like
It's weird.
not, yeah, like not to say that Josh Allen is this, but it's like Tom Brady and Gronk, but they also had Wes Welker. They always had Julian Edelman, Randy Moss. Like they had that wide receiver threat that they couldn't just throw all the bodies at Gronk.
Mhm. That's a good point.
I'm stacking the box and hoping Khalil Shakir doesn't beat me every week.
Stacking the box and going, man.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills definitely need to find probably some more targets, but for right now, Dalton Kincaid, number one. Got a long list to go probably in terms of wide receivers.
I
But
heard someone's upset in Philadelphia that might want to leave.
There's 2 dudes
AJ
that are
Brown.
upset in
Oh boy.
Philadelphia that might want to leave. Go get both.
Oh
Oh
boy.
no. Those are world beaters.
And the Philadelphia Eagles have the same record as the Buffalo Bills, but we need to be worried about both of them. Okay, I see how it is, Matthias. I'm kidding.
No, that goes back to the parody, dude. I don't really know
No,
who's
there's a lot of
actually good.
parity. You're right.
I have no idea who's good.
I think we'll find out maybe week 10 who the real teams are. But a team I
Honestly.
think is really good and proved it on Monday night, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've
Is
told
not
you guys this. How many times have I told you guys that I'm not giving up on Trevor Lawrence? I think he's the real deal. I just think he needed a coach that was better than Doug Peterson after the collapse the Jaguars had in 23 and 24. Who said it? It was me. And I think he proved it against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night. Kansas City, good. Probably going to still win 10, 11 games this year. But they play Detroit next week, so we'll start there. I don't know if it's going to be next week, but I think in the long run, they'll be fine. Jacksonville, though, on the other hand, Trevor Lawrence proved he could be that dude, I think, in that game. I think what we saw from Travis Hunter was special. I think that one throw Trevor Lawrence had, Harrison Butker kind of gave the Jaguars the game on some of his kicks. He has not been automatic like Harrison Butker typically is. So
Yeah, what a
to me,
shame.
I think the Jaguars, to me, and I really like Liam Cohen as well. I think the new trend of being a coach in the NFL is you got to have a really bizarre moment in a press conference, or like a historical moment, like the Duval chant he did, or like the Dan Campbell biting kneecaps reference, or the Nick Sirianni terrible press opener that he even said wasn't his best work. Like I feel like to be a successful coach in the NFL, you got to have that viral moment. But nevertheless, Liam Cohen, I think, is doing a great job so far. Early candidate for Coach of the Year, in my opinion. And I think right now Trevor Lawrence has proven he's that guy. I like the Jaguars. I'm picking them to win the AFC South. I think they're better than the Houston Texans this year. But, this is also just one game. They took care of business against Kansas City, which is what they need to do. And they're 4-1. And nobody's really talking about them. I don't think anyone's been talking about them until Monday night. What are your guys' thoughts? They beat San Francisco last week. That was pretty impressive.
The 49ers have proven themselves so far this season, and the Chiefs, as much as they're held together by glue, duct tape, and prison guards, but they're the Chiefs. Like, and they've won those games back to back. That's what they have over like the Bills right now. Like they've won those games where it's like, I'm not sure. Like they should probably lose this one, and they've been tough and they've been gritty. I'm still looking at Trevor Lawrence. Like I want out of my quarterback, I don't want the game to be won only from his legs. I'm not saying that quarterback shouldn't run. I'm saying that he shouldn't be the leading rusher along with the leading passer. Like it needs to like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they do it with both, but like the arm is the way that they go. But for Trevor Lawrence, like you had to rely on 2 rushing touchdowns and one of them being an absolute miracle and Chris Jones snoozing on a play.
That's true.
Like that was the only difference in this game.
And that's the thing with the Chiefs. We should talk about the Chiefs here for a second too. You make a good point about Chris Jones there. That's an all-world player on the Kansas City Chiefs loafing in the game. Like I'm not saying like Andy Reid needs to be in the hot seat, obviously not. But to me, that's kind of coaching too. Like, what's going on in the Kansas City Chiefs locker room? Are they just like contempt that they're
I know what they're doing.
And I think they're going to be 2-4 next week. By the way, what's up?
They're listening to the Life of a Showgirl. Obviously, it's pretty obvious.
And that'll bring us to our next point here.
Well, I also feel like I had a point on Jacksonville, and I don't remember.
Go ahead.
I lost it. I don't remember what it was. I know that's really bad, but
so did Travis Kelce with some of those catches.
It's raw takes. If you have it raw, just say it how it is. That's how we do it. But I'm sure you have something about.
I do have a take.
There we go.
After listening to The Life of a Showgirl, I have much respect for Travis Kelce. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
If you know, you know.
6 review of Taylor Swift's new album.
I'm just going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to go any further into detail. If you've listened to the album, you know what I'm talking about. It's track 7, I think. I don't know. Just listen to it. You'll understand. What's up?
If you could, you would.
Yes.
An NFL player finally has a song out about something. Let's just leave it there. Let me tell you what, pretty good song. Yeah. And I know, look, man, if somebody wrote a song about me like that, I would be on cloud 9. So that's all I got. Cloud 9.
Good album, though. I like it a lot.
Cloud 9, but it's track 7. So how would you be?
I don't know what track it is. I mean, look, I'll check. Please hold. Got it right here.
Wait, while he's looking that up, just like
track 9.
Okay,
well, writes itself, baby.
Cloud 9, track 9. All right, there we go. If you don't get the reference, look up Taylor Swift's new album, track 9. You'll get it then, and I'm pretty sure you know the reference if you're a casual sports fan. Anyway, Matthias, you had something?
I was going to say, speaking of like with Travis, like I'm surprised he's not retired.
Hold on, time out.
Jake's got something. Let's see.
We have breaking podcast news. This is beautiful.
The Yankees
breaking news for the podcast. Everybody ready?
Yeah. Drum roll.
The Cleveland Browns have traded cornerback Greg Newsome and a 6th-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars for cornerback Tyson Campbell and a 7th-round pick. We're breaking news here on the pod, boys. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
Let's be honest to our viewers here. We record the podcast the night before it's releasing, so this isn't breaking.
You put this reel out tomorrow, right now.
I will put it out tomorrow. We will put it out.
I broke some news.
We did break some news. We broke some news there. Greg Newsome going to Jacksonville in exchange for what again, Jake?
Well, we're getting Tyson Campbell, another corner.
Tyson Campbell. I think that makes the Jaguars better. Definitely makes the Browns defense a little worse. I guess you can't really argue the move, though, because the Browns are in the stinker right now anyway. And
Tyson Campbell's a good player.
Pittsburgh. Huh?
Tyson Campbell's a good player. He's a good corner. He's
all right, yeah. But
more of an outside corner.
Greg Newsome's better than Tyson Campbell. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I'm kind of upset about that. Like,
yeah.
I like a lot of my friends who are Browns fans, like they loved Greg Newsome.
I'm out on Greg Newsome.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
but I don't really love the Browns at this point because of everything that's transpired. So to me, it's like whatever. It's whatever with this move. I mean, Tyson Campbell maybe helps the Browns defense out. It sucks for Tyson Campbell because I think he's leaving an organization that's about to go to the playoffs for an organization that's going nowhere. Greg Newsome, it's great for him. He's going to an organization that's going to probably make the playoffs and leave a team that isn't. So to me, like, there's no win-win here. There's no win-win here. I think
Watch,
it's a
this is
joke.
going to cause a turnover this Sunday.
Yeah, probably.
Tyson Campbell
The
pick
Browns are
six
going to lose
against Aaron
anyway.
Rodgers is going to be a movie.
I would not be surprised. That's
The
all.
A movie.
The Browns are going for their annual regular season loss in Pittsburgh. They're going to lose, I think it's like 22nd straight since 2003. I was 3 years old the last time. And I think we all were 3 years old. Maybe, Matthias, you were one, maybe.
Yeah,
2002, right?
Yep, I was one.
So Matthias was one the last time the Cleveland Browns won a game in Pittsburgh. I was three and Jake was two, I'm pretty sure, right? You were 2001, Jake? I'm 2000.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we were all in diapers, really.
The key here, the key in this trade here, I think that we need to be focused on is Greg Newsome's a free agent at the end of the year. So he's leaving. Tyson Campbell is signed until 2028 on a new extension that the Jaguars gave him. So the big key here is the Browns get a comparable, if not better, player for longer, but ship away a player that helps the Jaguars who's a free agent. It's a weird trade because I don't know why you went and got the other corner when you could have just got picks for Newsome. But this essentially is he's younger, he's here longer, and I think it's resetting the market at corner for the Browns so that you don't need to go get one in the draft. Because Newsome was not re-signing. There was no way.
I was also going to ask what would be the money around it because, like,
Tyson Campbell's making way more than, well, not way more. He signed a 4-year, $76 million contract with Jacksonville last offseason.
Because, like, my thing is you're already tied to a lot already. And it's like if you're getting someone that's only comparable to someone that's going to be a free agent, like, yes, that's going to help you for now and later. But, like, you also need Tyson Campbell's not going to bring the Browns to the Super Bowl.
The Browns need a lot, and Tyson Campbell, as good of a player as he is, isn't necessarily the answer to fix all the Browns' problems. So to me, it's
like Greg Newsome wasn't
great long term, whatever. That's really what I say at this point. Whatever. Is Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry going to be here next year? We don't even know that yet. Like, what's the point of this move if it's possible that the head coach and the general manager are no longer with the team by next year? It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but to me, like, this move, it makes sense for the Browns maybe long term, but it might be a whole new staff next year. We don't even know. So I don't get the move at all. But granted, if it's a long-term solution, maybe it pays off well for the Browns. And heck, if the Jaguars, we just were talking about how great we think they may be. At least I was. I know you guys were thinking there's still a lot to see with the Jags, but pays off for the Jags, pays off for the Jags. I mean, maybe they can convince Greg Newsome to stay there. Who knows?
It's also the key is if Greg Newsome didn't resign, then you have nothing. This locks you up a corner opposite Denzel Ward for the next 4 years. So regardless, you don't have to me what this does is you don't have to worry about corner next year. You have Ward, you have Campbell now, and you have MJ Emerson. You don't have to it frees you up to do something different in the draft. You don't have to get a corner. You don't have to worry about getting a corner in free agency. Like you've locked it in, you figured it out on October 8th, and you don't have to worry about doing it later on. You know, this move does not help the Browns right now, and that's fine. It doesn't have to. It helps the Browns in February and March when they're scouting rookie draft players, and they don't have to worry and say, you know what, we don't need a corner in the first round or second round. We've got 3 good ones. Whereas if you lost Greg Newsome in free agency and had no solution, then you run into now we need to get a corner. So you've opened yourself up for more possibilities later on. That's what this does for me. Say what you want about Tyson Campbell as a player. to me that this opens up the flexibility for whoever the GM is next year, which it's going to be Andrew Berry. I don't have any. I really do think it is to
Even if they
be
fire
flexible in the
Stefanski, you
draft.
think it's going to be Andrew Berry?
I think it'll be Berry. Andrew Berry put together the best rookie draft class that I've maybe ever seen this
And
year.
do you think that Haslam's going to let Andrew Berry pick the next head coach?
I
He might want Stefanski still.
they
I feel
might
like this is a
they
paired duo here. I don't know if that's
they
going to
might.
happen.
I think they both might make it.
I guess we'll find out. But
I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised knowing
maybe.
the Browns.
I mean, I personally think they should both go to next season too. I'm with you guys on that. But I don't know. That's my philosophy right now. If you're Andrew Berry, you really should be managing for your job at this point. Find a way to get to the playoffs the way the AFC North looks. That's me. That's me. I'm playing to maybe you're building for the future, and maybe Jimmy Haslam gave him the green light on things that we don't know about behind the scenes. I don't know. I don't believe that though. So until then, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are still on the hot seat, and this move makes very little sense to me in terms of figuring out solutions for right now. And I
I
think the
do
Right now it
AFC
understand
North
doesn't
what
is
you
wide
matter.
mean,
open.
Jake.
That's
I really
why
do.
that's why you do this move because we're
Mhm.
1-4, and this season does not matter.
Yeah, I was going to say I do what you mean. Pause, rewind, play. I do know what you mean, Jake. Of like now, like for draft because the Browns should be already looking at the draft next year,
Yeah.
and so now they have more time to look at other players in college football instead of the cornerbacks because now they have a suitable cornerback room where it's like it's not going to you're not going to lose because of them. And for the Browns, that's all you need for right now. You need positions to be locked so that if you look at a game where like, oh, we lost not because of them.
That makes sense.
I
Into
also think
that philosophy.
a move like this
Mm-hmm.
makes me feel like Andrew Berry knows that he's safe because you don't trade for a corner that's going to be locked up for the next 4 years if your job isn't safe because you don't care about 4 years from now. You care about tomorrow. And if he wanted to trade for tomorrow because he knew his job wasn't safe, then he would have done something different. He would have traded Greg Newsome for something that helps. Instead, he
Yeah, he would
traded
have
Greg
gotten a
Newsome
bigger
to fix
name.
the future. To me that makes me think that Andrew Berry thinks or knows that he's going to be back because he's made a move to help himself in the offseason.
I guess we'll find out what takes place as the season goes on. But to me, I don't know at this point because the Browns to me are still so filled with questions about everything in their future. I have no idea what to make of any of it. That's just me though. All right, we're going to move on to baseball now as we look around Major League Baseball. Breaking Newsome news, of course, there from when we
That was
recorded the
fun.
show. That was fun. Absolutely. Right away on our first podcast, we had a breaking story. Uh, as we're recording this, the Phillies are up on the Dodgers. The Dodgers are already looking like they're possibly heading towards a sweep, but it's the top of the fifth inning, and the Phillies could avoid that in LA. We'll see what takes place there. The Blue Jays right now, bottom of the ninth inning, taking on the Yankees. Uh, Jake's got the game on himself, so can you give us a little bit of a synopsis of what's going on there? And maybe we can react a little bit in a few minutes if this ends up being the night the Yankees get eliminated.
Yeah, the it's 5-2 in the ninth. So I'm gonna probably wait on that and we'll see what if
Okay.
that ends within the next 2 minutes, we'll get there. Phillies are trying to mount a comeback. Instead, Jeff Hoffman just struck out Cody Bellinger to
Oh, wow.
eliminate the New York Yankees. The Blue Jays,
As
first
we record this.
ALCS 2016.
Back to back breaking
Why does
news.
it have
Good
to be
job,
the
Jake.
game? The game Shane Bieber starts in. Why does it have to be the game the Yankees?
That sucked.
That
Not Shane
stinks.
Bieber's fault. A lot of bad
That
stuff
stinks.
happened in that game to him.
No, I agree, but still, why did it have to be that game? But yeah,
Uh,
to be the Blue Jays in that series, like they came out aggressive, and honestly, after game two, it was over.
it, it, when they
To
when they
me,
got 12-0, the series was over.
yeah. The Blue
Um,
Jays proved everybody wrong though, because so many people thought the Yankees were just going to steam in and win that series easily, including a good friend of mine who we all know very well. I don't want to necessarily name drop him on the first podcast yet, but yeah, that's one thing for sure to mention. Like he didn't think the Blue Jays had a shot against the Yankees, and the Yankees ended up losing the series. So, but yeah, I think to me the Blue Jays, their offense is insane, led by Guerrero Jr. Uh, you look at the pitching staff they've had; they did a phenomenal job. They got to Max Fried. That's really difficult to do. I think the Blue Jays deserve a ton of credit as they head to the ALCS here, as they are about to face either Seattle or Detroit. And I think either way, they got a tough competition coming. I'd rather them see Seattle because we need to see a good ALCS, and I think Seattle would provide that over Detroit. But that's me.
Yeah. There's not much else I don't think to go into because all
Mhm.
the rest of these series are still going. So I
Yeah,
think probably, you know, good on Detroit for extending it today, getting it to Scooble. That'll be awesome on Friday. Scooble in game 5 in Seattle against, I don't know who's going to start for the Mariners yet, but that'll be fun. The Brewers extended the series, or the Cubs extended the series today against the Brewers, and the Phillies are up 3-1 as the time of we're recording this to try and go to stay alive in that series. So baseball's hot right now.
it is. It's getting
We'll
down to the
have
wire. And
hopefully, by
Seattle's
our next
pitcher is
show, we'll have
TBD.
a
Good
go
old
ahead.
TBD is pitching for Seattle on Saturday. I just thought I'd point that out. Or
Okay.
no, is
One of
it
my
Friday
favorite
or is it Saturday? It's Friday.
Friday, I think. One
Friday.
of my
Yeah.
favorite pitchers,
It
Mr.
feels
TBD.
yeah, which is tomorrow. If you're watching the podcast, tomorrow
Oh yeah, I guess that is
TBD.
tomorrow.
Yep. As we're recording
We
this
record on
now,
Wednesday.
yeah, we're recording on Wednesday, but TBD is the pitcher as of Wednesday night. If you're watching this on Thursday, it might have changed by then. So that's just
Probably George Kirby, but who knows?
yeah, that's a tough matchup. Tarek Skubal has the edge, but can't count out Cal Raleigh and some of the offensive pieces Seattle has. You can get to Skubal. I mean, Seattle did it the other night. You can get to Skubal if you just get the right pitches. I think in the playoffs we've seen some.
Hit his fastball.
Yeah, it's fastball. Yeah, excuse me.
Don't let his changeup beat you, and you're. It's not as easy as it sounds. I'm not saying I could go up there and do it, but the way to beat him is to not miss the fastball.
Agreed.
Jorge Polanco didn't miss twice, and
Yeah,
that's how you win the game.
Cubs avoid elimination today too. Milwaukee winning that game. No, I'm sorry, Chicago winning that game.
Yeah, the Cubs finally got one.
They finally got one. They did a great job against San Diego. I really like the Cubs. I think the Brewers are just a better team, but I don't think any one of them stands a chance against the Dodgers. And even if the Dodgers don't end up winning the series against the Phillies, I like the Phillies kind of over either one of these two teams too.
Yeah, me too.
Especially because you have Schwarber in that lineup, and the pitching rotation they've had all year has been really good too. But the Dodgers to me are a shoe-in to win the World Series at this point. I don't know any of these teams who stands a chance, to be quite honest with you. But Toronto, what they did against the New York Yankees, to me, has given me the best preview of the team that might be able to take on the LA Dodgers. Because
Dodgers
Toronto
bullpen,
tore them
man.
apart. Toronto tore the Yankees apart. And
They can do that to anybody. They really can.
They've proven themselves this year. I thought Toronto was definitely a great regular season team, but they showed in the postseason they're the real deal. So props to them. They're moving on to the ALCS. It'll be interesting to see what takes place as they face either Detroit or Seattle. I would like to see them play Seattle just because I think that would be a great offensive series. But Detroit, I think would get smoked by Toronto. But at the same time, if AJ Hinch could pull out a few things from his hat, maybe pull out the garbage cans and go from there. I'm kidding. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But we'll see. We'll see what takes place. I think that's going to be an interesting series, to say the least. The ALCS. The ALCS, I think, will have the more interesting series over the NL because I just think the Dodgers are that good, man. I don't know who's going to take them down. That's me, though. They're just the rotation from top to bottom beats all of these teams in the field right now. All of them.
Their bullpen is a disaster.
So yeah, but the starting rotation can eat innings. I mean, Yoshinobu Yamamoto can give you 6 any given night easily.
You're right. The problem is that if you aren't winning 7-0 by the 6th, then you're at risk of losing the game because the bullpen will immediately give it back. They've done it every time. They almost did it against the Reds. They were lucky it was the Reds because the bullpen for the Dodgers this entire year has wanted to give games up. And they have given games. That's the only way that they're going to lose is probably if their bullpen beats themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done all season, and yeah, their starting rotation is really good, and they'll eat innings, and that's how it goes. But if you get through the sixth with Yamamoto and it's nothing. I don't feel good if I'm a Dodgers fan because I just don't trust anybody that they're going to bring out after him. So you better hope the offense gives you 7.
Yeah, well, that's the hope, and the offense certainly can do that. When
Which,
you look at
right,
guys from Shohei to Freddie Freeman, top to bottom, that lineup is stacked. So
which they can give you
yeah,
7, and maybe
they
they just
could.
will, but
Mhm.
I don't know.
All right, that's going to
Let's
be
get
it
to the
for baseball
football.
tonight. Yep, let's get back to college football. Uh, two things in particular. We'll keep college football brief tonight, and then next week we'll go into a little bit more of it. As this is just the first podcast too, so as we mentioned before, there's a lot of stuff we're just working on, just kind of feel that chemistry again, even though we used to work with each other for years. But this is a different environment now. This is ours. It's going to be all free form, and we love to hear feedback from you guys too. So make sure to leave comments on YouTube, our social media accounts. You can see them on screen. Make sure to feel free to tweet us or reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram, whatever platform you prefer. I know Matthias only uses Instagram, so you can reach out
Don't
to him there.
You
Huh?
can't be too mean though. My mom does follow me on my Twitter, so if you say anything mean, my mom will see it and she'll be mad at you. So don't say anything too mean.
Well, if you disagree with me, I'll handle it with class. Trust me. It's totally.
I mean, I'll handle it with
If
class,
you
but I
don't
just
have
want
to
you to
agree
know my
with us,
mom
it's
might
what
not be as nice.
whatever you have to say, let me know. So anyway, regardless, to college football briefly. To me, the Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks are the only real threats in college football. And Miami, Florida is like a distant 3 right now. And I like
I don't know
Miami.
about I hate to say distant.
I to me, this especially with okay, they're really Penn State, the Nittany Liars, coached by James Fraudlin. Can we just finally put that to rest at this point? Because James Fraudlin has shown nothing ever with the Penn State Nittany Lions. Okay, maybe it's been like 10 years since he's last done anything with the Nittany Lions.
It's bad.
Has it been 10 years? It's been a while. He's been the head coach there for a long time.
2017.
Yeah, okay. No, I said 10 years might be a little too long, but it's been since
Trace McSorley
2017, 2018, before Penn
was
State
the
was
first
really
quarterback.
relevant. Huh?
Trace McSorley was his first quarterback. So whenever that song came out,
Okay. So, yeah, there you go. I don't trust Penn State at all, and their loss to UCLA, I think, already puts them back down for what I already believe to be an overrated program year in and year out. Still produce great NFL players, still tons of talent. They can never finish the job.
the
And
problem
I
with that
cannot
program
consider them
is
a
that
good program until then.
the problem with that program is that their coach is terrible.
Yeah, James Fraudlin. I don't even call him by his real name.
Well, and like I think that
He needs to change the scenery. I think
he unfortunately has recency biased us into believing that Penn State isn't as big of a brand and as good of a school as they are.
They have a big brand. They're just terrible.
Right, but
they're be a lot better. They need to fire James Fraudlin.
Supposed to be terrible. That's what I'm saying. Like I think
Yeah.
we're putting too much recency bias into this, and it's if they had a coach, if James Franklin had won 2 out of 10 big games as the head coach of Penn State, we'd probably feel differently about where Penn State is as a program nationally. Because I do think that this is a good program with money, with backing, with fan base, with the ability to go
they deserve better.
No, I agree with you that they deserve better, but I think
Matthias had a point here. Matthias,
go ahead, Matthias, if you have something.
I didn't, but now that I'm here, just
I
like
saw the green light up on his screen, so I figured he had a point to say about Fraudlin.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. But just like I think the most damning thing to them is that like I don't think I've ever seen a college football championship winning team lose back-to-back weeks.
No, probably
and
not.
Like they lost against Oregon in a double overtime, so like okay, fair. And then you lose to UCLA. Like that's gotta sting, and or like more than sting, that's gotta put you out of contention. And like you have Indiana next. I mean, you have Indiana down the road, Ohio State. Like your
season's over.
Well, Indiana's fraudulent too, but Indiana has at least proven somewhat worthy the last couple of years of being better than they used to be. I don't take Indiana seriously. But when I say Indiana has a shot at beating Penn State, you're damn right I do.
It's gonna come back to bite you.
What?
It's gonna come back to bite you if you don't take them seriously.
Indiana Hoosiers?
The Hoosiers.
They,
That's a
they
good
beat Penn
team.
State. That's fine. Like, I believe they could beat Penn State.
I'm not.
They're not
They're
beating
gonna.
Ohio State. They're not beating Oregon this year. They're not beating Michigan probably this year. I think Michigan's a lot better than they were
Oh, I
last
think they
year.
beat Michigan this year.
You think they
Michigan,
would?
I think they would.
I don't know.
Neutral site. I'm taking Indiana.
Maybe anybody in the SEC because that conference is so overrated. But at the end of the day, I mean, to me right now too, just with the college football landscape, and then we'll wrap up the pod today. It's really to me like I don't see any
There's
team.
3 teams that are better than everybody else.
Yes,
Yeah.
Miami and Florida is a distant 3 from the top 2 though. You don't think so? You'd put them in the category with Ohio State and Oregon? I can't.
Yes.
I think
They're
it's a
well
3-man
coached.
race as well.
Yeah.
I think it is a 3-man race, but I don't take Miami, Florida as seriously as I take Ohio State and Oregon. I'm sorry. They're good. I'm not going to take
They're really good.
They're good.
Their
They're definitely
defense
the third
is
best team, but
no,
yeah,
and they might be the 3rd best. They're just really good.
they are good. But they played a close game against the Seminoles this week. To me, the Seminoles
also
are
really
okay.
good.
Yeah, but the Seminoles aren't. They're a
It was also
distant
in
from the rest of them.
Tallahassee.
It was 28-22.
It's not that. It was not.
I feel
that
like
close.
you got to win that game by 2 possessions. That's just me. They got a lot of work.
Not that close.
They're not Ohio State. They're not Oregon. That's to me right now. Ohio State and Oregon are running college football, and someone's got to have to beat them.
Hey man,
if it's Michigan,
Oregon beat Northwestern by like 16.
What was that?
Oregon only beat Northwestern by like 16. So let's not get ahead of ourselves with these scores.
Well, I'll say this: if Michigan beats Ohio State this year, and I have a feeling they will, I'm still not even going to take that seriously because I still think Michigan's got a little bit while to go before they're back to being the elite program that we saw a couple years ago.
I just don't want to sleep on Miami because if I saw them right now in a playoff game, I would be not excited about it.
Well, I'll put Miami in the top 3, but I still think outside of those 3 schools, Texas is
that's
fraudulent
fine
too. Alabama, like they beat Georgia, and Georgia doesn't even look that good this year. Alabama doesn't even look that. No, but the SEC is a joke right now. I don't even want to hear anything about the SEC.
Got parity again.
North Carolina, like what parity is in North Carolina? They got Bill Belichick. You know that they canceled a deal. Hulu canceled a deal about like making the college Hard Knocks about North Carolina because that's how under impressive North Carolina's been. So to me, college football as a whole is a joke right now. I'm only taking Ohio State and Oregon seriously, and I'll take Miami and Florida seriously too. That's fine, but they're still distant compared to Ohio State and Oregon. That's just the way I view college football right now. But that's my thoughts. I'll leave the floor to you guys on the rest of it. It's kind of a joke to me.
I think Miami's really good. And I think there's more parity in this sport than we've ever seen because I think only right now 3 teams can win the national championship, but there's multiple conferences that are wide open. There's multiple playoff spots that are wide open. And yeah, like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter unless you win the national championship. But as a fan of the sport, I'm excited to watch games that matter every night because I don't know who's going to win the Big 12. And I don't know who's going to win the SEC. And I don't know who's going to win the ACC. And I don't know who's going to win the... Like, there are years where you go in and you know who's probably going to win the conference. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Miami's probably going to win the ACC. We're probably going to win the Big 10. Ohio State is. Mm-hmm. But there's some conferences I have no idea. And that's the best part about this. So yeah, there's maybe not parity in the sense that there's only 2 teams that are 3 teams that are national championship contenders. But boy, there's a lot of parity elsewhere. There's about 9 different teams in that next tier under the big 3.
Gotcha. That's fair.
Yeah, and to me, like kind of to Jake's point, like as a fan perspective, like this is, if you're watching it just for the result and just for the hardware, okay, this isn't as entertaining because it's a 3-man race. And honestly, to me, it's Ohio State. If they lose, it's them beating themselves.
Yep.
Like, but the destination to that, like the playoffs this year, it's going to be a bloodbath because other than those 3, like you said, it's wide open. Like anyone could beat anyone on any given night.
And that's going to be it for today's edition of Raw Takes and Company, the first edition of the podcast. Round of applause, gentlemen. We'll be back next Thursday. Make sure to stay tuned for the next podcast. Jake, Matthias, any closing words before we wrap up the show?
Asia Wilson with the Las Vegas Aces is having a GOAT conversation after going up 3-0 against the Phoenix Mercury. She just made the game-winning shot with zero point 0.3 seconds left. Already has 4 MVPs and a finals trophy. One more is going to make her that much more special.
34-14, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Nasty. Good for her. She's awesome.
All
That's
right.
all I got.
All
I
right.
can agree with that. Asia Wilson's really good at basketball. Watch the WNBA, people. Really entertaining.
Do it.
Really entertaining.
That's going to be it for today's edition of Raw Takes and Company, everybody. We will be back next week, next Thursday. Make sure to stay tuned. Also follow us on social media directly at Facebook and Instagram. You can also find us on Twitter and X. You could find us individually on Twitter and X, Facebook, and Instagram as well. All our usernames, of course, you saw throughout the podcast. So hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll be back next week.